Let's talk about Apple, a company that's become almost legendary for its refusal to discount its products. For decades, Apple has stood apart from the crowd, rarely if ever slashing prices. This unwavering commitment to premium pricing has been a core part of its identity, setting it apart from competitors who often rely on sales and promotions to attract buyers. For years, Apple's high prices have been more than just numbers on a tag. They've been a badge of honor, a symbol of luxury, innovation, and exclusivity. Owning an Apple device wasn't just about the technology, it was about joining a select club, a community that valued design, quality, and status. This strategy built a fortress of brand loyalty, with customers lining up for hours to get the latest iPhone, and it delivered huge profit margins that most companies could only dream of. Apple's brand became almost untouchable, a fortress that seemed immune to the price wars raging in the tech world. But now, in China, Apple is breaking its own rules it's followed for decades. The company is doing something that would have seemed unthinkable just a few years ago. They're offering steep discounts on the latest iPhones, slashing prices in a way that's almost shocking for a brand that's always prided itself on never going on sale. Shoppers in China are now seeing deals and price cuts that would have been unimaginable in the past. And this isn't just a seasonal holiday sale or a one-off promotion, it's a major, deliberate shift in strategy, a sign that Apple is willing to bend its own rules to survive and compete in a rapidly changing market. Why is this happening? The answer is simple. Apple is under real, mounting pressure in China, a market that was once its fastest growing and most profitable. Local competitors like Huawei and Xiaomi are surging, offering high-quality smartphones at lower prices. The Chinese economy is slowing, making consumers more price-sensitive, and a wave of consumer nationalism is encouraging people to buy homegrown brands over foreign ones. China, which was once Apple's golden goose, is now a fiercely contested battleground. The rules of engagement have changed, and Apple can no longer rely on its old playbook. Apple is being forced to fight with discounts and subsidies, territory they've always avoided, but now must embrace to stay relevant and competitive. The stakes couldn't be higher. China isn't just a big market for Apple. It's a cornerstone of the company's global revenue and a critical part of its supply chain. What happens here could ripple across the entire company. If Apple loses ground in China, it could threaten its global dominance and shake investor confidence around the world. This move to discount is a huge gamble. It's a high-stakes bet that could either pay off by winning back market share or backfire by damaging the brand's carefully crafted premium image. Is this a smart tactical retreat, a way to regroup and come back stronger? Or is it the first sign of a permanent decline, a signal that Apple's best days in China are behind it? Will these discounts help Apple win back customers, or will they erode the sense of exclusivity that made the brand so desirable in the first place? Is a short-term sales boost worth the long-term risk to Apple's image? Right now we're witnessing a real-time test of Apple's brand power and its ability to adapt to new realities. The world is watching to see if Apple can reinvent itself without losing what made it special. The old rules don't apply anymore. The market has changed, and Apple must change with it, or risk being left behind. Apple's next moves in China could define its future worldwide. The stakes are enormous and the outcome is far from certain. One thing is clear, the world is watching, and the story of Apple in China is far from over. So what's actually happening? Apple, a company known for rarely budging on price, is making some surprising moves in China. In a bold step, Apple slashed iPhone prices by over $300 on major Chinese e-commerce sites, making their flagship devices suddenly much more affordable to millions of consumers. This wasn't a third-party move. Apple itself sanctioned these cuts, signaling a major shift in their China strategy. They even joined China's massive 6.18 shopping festival, a huge annual event similar to Black Friday, offering official discounts for the first time ever. Apple also joined a government-led subsidy program, letting buyers stack Apple's discounts with extra government incentives, making the deal even sweeter for shoppers. For consumers, it's a double win. Trade in your old phone, and you could get a brand new iPhone for up to 20% off, a deal that was almost unthinkable from Apple just a year ago. Suddenly, Apple's flagship is priced much closer to local rivals like Huawei and Xiaomi, who have long dominated the value segment in China. But for Apple, this is risky. The company has always positioned itself as a premium, aspirational brand, and deep discounts could threaten that image. Their brand is built on exclusivity. Deep discounts could damage that, making Apple seem less special or unique in the eyes of consumers. If customers get used to lower prices, it's hard to go back. People may start waiting for the next big sale, eroding Apple's pricing power in the long run. Apple is stepping into a price war with brands built for value, and it's unclear if they can win on price alone without sacrificing their premium reputation. It's a calculated risk, and the whole industry is watching closely. Competitors, analysts, and consumers are all waiting to see how this bold experiment plays out. Will it pay off, helping Apple regain market share in China, or could it backfire, weakening the brand's allure? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, Apple's China strategy just changed in a big way. Why is Apple slashing prices? Look at the numbers. iPhone sales in China dropped 19% in early 2024, their worst in years. Meanwhile, Huawei's sales soared by 70%, fueled by a patriotic comeback and new 5G tech. Apple isn't just losing sales, it's losing the narrative. Local brands like Xiaomi and Vivo offer great phones at much lower prices. The good enough phone is now excellent and much cheaper. With a slowing economy, Chinese consumers are holding on to phones longer or choosing budget options. Apple faces a perfect storm: fierce competition, economic headwinds, and a surge in national pride. In this context, price cuts aren't panic, they're survival. Apple must adapt or risk losing its grip on a critical market. The old playbook isn't working. Apple's China challenge is bigger than ever. The next moves are crucial. China's trade-in for upgrade program is a game changer. The government offers subsidies, about 10% off a new device, when you trade in your old one. It's designed to boost spending and push greener, newer tech. While open to all brands, the program subtly favors Chinese companies. Buying local is framed as patriotic and innovative. Apple had no choice but to join or risk being priced out, but they're playing on their rivals' home turf, with rules that benefit the home team. For Apple, it's about staying competitive, even if it means supporting a system that helps their competitors. The program is a powerful lever in the market. Apple's participation is a sign of just how high the stakes are. You can't discuss Apple's China troubles without mentioning Huawei. Sanctions once crippled Huawei, but the Mate 60 Pro changed everything. It launched with a domestically made 5G chip, a huge tech and patriotic win. The phone became a sensation, symbolizing national pride and resilience. Buying Huawei is now seen as a patriotic act. State media and social networks fueled the hype, creating a cultural moment Apple can't match. For many, the choice is no longer just about specs, it's about identity. Huawei's resurgence has hit Apple hard, with many former iPhone users switching sides. Apple's response? Discounts, hoping to lure back customers with price. But narrative is powerful, and right now, Huawei owns it. Apple is fighting on unfamiliar ground. The battle is about more than technology, it's about who gets to define the future. Apple's latest challenge in China? AI. Their new Apple Intelligence features aren't approved for release in China due to strict regulations. Local brands like Xiaomi and Huawei already offer advanced AI features tailored for Chinese users. When the iPhone 16 launches, its headline AI features will be missing in China. That's a huge disadvantage, especially as rivals set new expectations. Apple is selling a premium phone without its most important new software. The value gap is widening. Price cuts are now Apple's main tool to compete. Without AI, the iPhone's appeal in China is weaker than ever. Apple needs a breakthrough or risks falling further behind. Is Apple's discounting a real solution or just a quick fix? Short term, it's working. Sales surged during China's 6.18 festival. But the risks are real. Apple's premium image could be permanently damaged. Once customers expect discounts, it's hard to return to full price. The core problems remain: patriotic buying, missing AI features, and fierce local innovation. Discounts buy time, but don't solve the underlying issues. Apple needs more than price cuts, it needs strategic wins. Bringing AI to China, out-innovating rivals, and connecting with local consumers are essential. Right now, this feels like a tactical retreat, not a victory. Apple is stabilizing, not winning. The next steps will determine if this is a comeback or a slow decline. The pressure is on. Can Apple turn things around? The iPhone 16 launch will be a crucial test for Apple in China. If it's just a minor update, Apple may be stuck relying on discounts again. Apple is reportedly seeking local AI partners to bring new features to China. This would be a big shift for a company that loves control. Apple may also need to tailor products and promotions specifically for China. The era of a one-size-fits-all global strategy may be over. If Apple can't adapt, it risks becoming a niche luxury brand in China. The stakes are global. China's market shapes Apple's future. The next few months will be decisive. Apple's China gamble is about more than just this quarter, it's about the next decade. Apple, once the undisputed king of premium tech, is now fighting for relevance in China, a market that was once its crown jewel. The company is rolling out discounts and subsidies, a move that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. The sight of price cuts at Apple stores in China signals a dramatic shift in strategy, as the tech giant tries to win back customers who are increasingly looking elsewhere. The old playbook is gone. Patriotic buying, fierce competition, and regulatory hurdles have changed everything. Chinese consumers are now more likely to support homegrown brands, and the government's push for technological self-reliance has only intensified the challenge for foreign companies like Apple. Price cuts have certainly boosted short-term sales, drawing crowds back into Apple stores. But at what cost to the brand's carefully cultivated image of exclusivity and innovation? Is Apple risking its premium status by joining the discount race? Apple's flexibility in adapting to the Chinese market is impressive, showing a willingness to change tactics. But this could be a turning point, one that will define Apple's future in the world's largest smartphone market. The brand's aura of exclusivity, once its greatest strength, is now at risk. As Apple becomes more accessible, does it lose the very mystique that made it desirable? Discounts alone won't solve the core issues: national pride, the rapid rise of local competitors like Huawei, and Apple's struggle to keep up with the latest AI-powered features that Chinese consumers crave. Local brands are innovating at breakneck speed, making it harder for Apple to stand out. The ground has shifted beneath Apple's feet. The company is no longer the default choice for Chinese consumers, and every move is now under intense scrutiny. This is a battle of global brand power versus local loyalty, where reputation and innovation are constantly being tested. Can Apple's global prestige compete with the emotional connection Chinese consumers feel toward their own brands? Can Apple adapt to this new reality, or is this the start of a long, slow decline in a market it once dominated? The stakes have never been higher. The world is watching closely to see if Apple can reinvent itself for China's rapidly changing tech landscape. Every decision is magnified, every misstep could be costly. Is this a new, pragmatic Apple, one that can thrive by adapting to local tastes? Or are we witnessing the first chapter of its decline in China, a market that once seemed unassailable? The next moves Apple makes will decide everything. Will it double down on innovation or continue to chase market share with discounts? What do you think? Is Apple's best era in China behind it, or is a new chapter just beginning? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.